So I'm going to take this outfit and I'm going to put it into Frosty. See, I'm going to replace this guy, his heavy Watch armor. So first thing I'm going to do is look at the bundles here and note down all of the RPG and gameplay bundles. There's only 2 here, which is part of why I picked the armor. So I'm going to copy those and then just paste them in a notepad here, just have them off to the side. So I'm going to use those later. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my textures and I'm going to start duplicating stuff. So I am just going to click on this guy, right click duplicate, and I'm going to name this, oh, that is not correct. So I'm going to give it this name. I like to do a couple of things. I like to put everything in my own folder so that I can find it easily. And so if you want to create a new folder, you can type whatever the folder name is and then a slash and it'll create it for you. So I'm just going to click on this overall folder, make sure I have Petra slash, name of my texture, and hit save. And I'm actually going to say no to this. If you want things to be easy, you can say yes and it'll put the texture automatically that you duplicated in all of the bundles of the original. But I only care about these 2, so I'm going to just manually add the textures there later. Alright, so now the part that's a little annoying, you cannot duplicate duplicated assets or you're going to get crashing and stuff. So I'm going to go back to my textures and I'm going to take the AMMS and duplicate that. And instead of calling it VCLR, I'm going to say AMMS. I'm just going to click on my Petra folder and it'll put it in there for me. The reason that I am adding my username and the probably name of the project at the end is because Frosty will overwrite files that have the same name if you have 2 mods in order. Like, so whatever mod is on the bottom, if it has a file in the same folder with the same name as a mod above it, the one below in the loader will like just replace it basically. So giving them unique names helps with making sure your mod does not accidentally have pieces that get overwritten. Okay, so now I'm going to save my guy, and then I'm going to click the new project button. For some reason, there can be issues if you don't like basically close and reopen your project pretty often when you're doing all of this duplicating stuff. So sometimes you'll have a mod and it'll just start crashing for no reason and nobody can figure out why. And sometimes the solution is just make the mod again, but make sure to reload more often. So I'm going to click open, go here and grab my guy. And I'm going to expand these and then uncheck show only modified. And I'm going to go here back to my textures. I want to make a note real fast. I don't know if this matters or not, but if you look in the upper right corner, it has like an image type. So this texture, the space color is sRGB BC1. The AMS is BC3 UNorm, and this is BC5 UNorm. I do not know if that matters, but I like to duplicate a norm and name it the new norm, just in case that does matter. I've never tested it without because I don't want to. So what do we got next? We've got Aurora, not in all caps. Alright, and then I'm going to save and reload again. There is not a firm number of duplicates that you can make before stuff starts potentially maybe breaking at some point. Nobody really knows why this glitch happens, so it's pure vibes. That's the other one that I've got is this brooch. Okay. So once this loads, I'm going to duplicate one more set of textures, and then I'll be back. It's going to be the same process. Okay, so I've got the textures duplicated, and I had a thought that I just wanted to make note of. I'm pretty much using the vanilla textures for everything, so what would possibly make my life easier is if I went to like the Lord of Fortunes. Where's the guy? Right in front of my face, like the modest brooch, and I go to the textures. And not that one. So for this one, I could duplicate this texture, and then if I do that, I would have to scroll down to the More and Watch action folder and then click through and open all of these folders, as opposed to when you duplicate that, if you're already in the More and Watch folder. it'll just kind of pop that open. So I prefer to duplicate textures that are in this base folder already, even if I'm going to have to replace them later if they're just a base texture. So I'm going to reload. Alright, so we're reloaded, and I have all of my textures duplicated that I am going to need. Next, I am going to start duplicating some of my cloth meshes. Mr. Baby, why do you scream? Do you want to be right here? You want to be right here while I'm trying to film a tutorial for people? You're gonna, okay, there's a little cat here now. That's okay. I know your life is so hard because you're just a little cat, huh? You're just a little guy. Okay, so I am going to, for this armor, I need to import 3 meshes. I made edits to 3 meshes. So I'm going to need to duplicate 3 meshes. Right now we can only duplicate cloth object blueprints, not regular blueprints, like regular object blueprints. So you have to duplicate cloth meshes. I am just going to duplicate this armor cloth. It doesn't really matter. Actually, wait, this does matter because I put, oh, hi, Mr. Man. I scaled all of my pieces to a feminine body because I didn't want to try and make Valara's pieces work on a masculine body because that would have been a lot more blendering. So I'm actually going to have to go and import into a feminine cloth mesh. If you're not doing anything where you sculpted around a feminine body, then you can just duplicate any armor cloth. But unfortunately, I decided to use Valara's cute outfits. So I have this bookmarked, but this is my favorite one to use for the femme mesh, and it is the Lord of Fortune modest brooch cape. Any cloth mesh will work as long as it's a cloth mesh, or if you're doing a feminine skeleton as for feminine. So I am going to right click this and duplicate it. And I am going to first make sure that I'm putting it in the right place. I'm going to go down to my Petra folder. And then I'm going to spelling is hard. Wow, I cannot spell or think. Okay. And then I'm going to hit save. I'm not going to add the bundles, add to the original bundles because we're not going to need this in the Lord of Fortune outfit. So then I have all of the stuff that I need bookmarked already, but I'm going to show you how to find it. So I'm going to go back to the place where I found that cape cloth here. And there's a couple of files that you need to duplicate. The first one is this cape cloth RGZ, so it's this cloth object blueprint. So I just double click to open it, and then I'm going to click my little folder icon here. and it's gonna find it for me automatically in here. And then I'm gonna look at the references. So I'm going to need the cloth asset, cloth wrapping asset, and then the simple appearance item data. And then once I have the simple app open, I'm going to click on my folder again, and I'm going to grab the appearance item object variation. And these are all of the things that you are going to need to duplicate in addition to your mesh. So I am going to click on this cloth blueprint that I already have opened, click on my folder to find it in here, make sure I have the right thing selected, then duplicate. Change the name, whatever you name it, doesn't super matter, just something that you can keep track of and something that will probably not be shared in common with another mod. Okay, and then I'm going to grab this guy, which is the cloth asset. And I'm not trying to preserve the physics on any of the meshes I am importing. So I will explain this a little more later, but I am going to assign the same cloth asset to every mesh because it's basically going to get turned off. I'm going to tell it to pretend that it's not cloth. So this way I don't have to duplicate the file. Same thing for the cloth wrapping asset that I have open. I'm going to click my little guy here. And I'm going to duplicate that. And same deal. I'm only going to duplicate this once, not 3 times, because I don't need the cloth physics. So this would be and I'm going to save and reload because I'm paranoid and like to do it after every 3 or so files that I do. And that was 4, and that made me nervous. So I recommend using the bookmarks down here because, as you can see, when you close the project, it closes all the tabs you have open. A pretty significant part of my workflow is opening up the files and then clicking on, double click that, and that one. So I will like navigate through the tabs that I have open and I'll click on this find asset just to make sure I'm getting the right file and also to basically like keep a tally of all the stuff that I've already done. So you noticed like when I duplicated the cloth wrapping asset or the cloth asset, I like close the little tab up here each time. So just whatever workflow works for you. And which one is this? Okay. And then this is literally every time I pause, I'm just double checking what I'm doing to make sure I'm grabbing the right thing. Oh, are you going away, little cat? And you decided that you want more attention and you're going to get more attention on the floor? Fascinating. Okay, so I've got those duplicated. And then the next part. Okay, so for the next part, I am going to look at, I'm going to go back to the model for the original armor piece that's in here, and I'm going to check the references. And there are some mesh variations. And so I'm going to open the ones that start with RPG and gameplay. So basically the ones that are in the bundles that we listed down at the start. And what I am going to do now that I have those open, whichever one I have here, I'm going to click Find Open Asset. And then I'm going to right click Duplicate. This is the gameplay. So, oh well, okay. And I'm going to go find a little folder, not equipment, but do I know how the alphabet works? The answer to that might surprise you. Fascinating. That's how the alphabet works. Okay. And this time I am going to click yes for the bundles. And then I'll show you why. I'll open the other mesh variation DB, and you'll notice that this is only in one bundle. Previously, all the other pieces have been in like multiple bundles that were probably unrelated to Rook's armor. So there's a lot of these armors that are used on NPCs and stuff, and I just don't want to put them in those bundles. I'd rather do it by hand. Put them in just the bundles that are needed. Let's see, alphabet. Oh, and I just hit no by accident. That's okay, we can just put it in manually. So I'm now gonna save and then hit new and reopen my guy again. Okay, so I'm gonna go to view and then bundle editor, click the drop down and go to blueprint bundles. And I'm going to copy the first one of these and paste it in here, hit enter, click on it, and then I'm going to hit view bundle editor again, and I'm going to grab that second bundle and do the same thing. And now I am going to add all of the stuff in here into these bundles. So literally just going to go down the list and click add bundle for almost everything. This is the RPG. So I'm going to add the RPG meshware. Oops, didn't need to open that. Plus everything else. I'm not going to add that gameplay meshware. Right, and then look on the side and I see asterisks next to everything that I wanted to add. So I'm going to click save and it'll make all those asterisks go away. And I'll click on my other tab in the bundle editor, which is that gameplay bundle. And I will go through and add all of these except for that RPG meshware. And again, I use the little asterisks on the side to keep track of what I've added. And we're going to save this. And then next up is I'm going to prep all my files. So first I am going to take this mesh and I'm going to import into it. I'm going to go with this guy. If Frosty looks like it freezes here, that is a good thing. It means that you are importing. The textures are always going to look weird here. I check my log and no errors here, which is cool. So then I am going to save that. And then I'm going to open all of these guys here. First thing I'm going to do is look at my appearance item object variation. And I'm just going to randomly change some numbers in here. So literally it doesn't matter what you change it to. We're just basically telling it that there is a new unique thing. So then I am going to go to, where's my guy? I'm going to go to my cloth blueprint here, and I'm going to expand where it says object. And if we scroll down a little bit, there is this part that says mesh. And so I'm going to, in the bottom left, click, like single click on my skin mesh asset. And then I'm going to click the little arrow here. And now my mesh is applied. And then there is this cloth thing that uses a cloth asset. So I'm going to click that in the bottom left, and then I'm going to click the little arrow. And then we are going to disable the cloth. then where it says this cloth wrapping asset, I'm going to put my duplicated one in there. And then activation radius and smooth blend out distance, we're going to change all of those values to be 0. And save. Don't need to change anything in the cloth asset or the cloth wrapping asset, which is cool. Then I'm going to look at my simple app ID here, and there is a thing that says blueprint right here. So I'm going to go find my cloth blueprint and click the little arrow here. And then where it says variation, I'm going to click on this appearance item object variation and go here. We're going to save that. And I'm going to close everything except for my 2 mesh var DBs, the copied ones. And this first one, I'm going to open it. I'm going to expand the entries. I'm going to click this little X to make all of it disappear. And that was actually a little bit silly because I forgot to copy something. Right, but that is okay because I can just go to that RPG guide and oh, I can't actually, so I'm gonna do that. And I'm going to go back to the mesh that I took my cloth mesh from. And I'm gonna grab one of the mesh thingies here. And the first one is a detail cloth. This one is the cape cloth, so I'm going to just right click, copy entry 33, and then in this one right here, one of my duplicated ones, I'm going to hit the plus, and I'm going to right click paste. And now I have this entry here, and I'm going to do a couple edits. So very first thing, as this is referencing that cape mesh, so I'm going to go to my duplicated assets and take my skinned mesh and put it right there. And then I'm going to expand the materials thing, and then where it says material, again, I'm going to make sure that I have that skin mesh asset highlighted, and I'm going to click that. And then I'm going to expand the material variation, and then shader, texture parameters, and these are textures that will be assigned to it. So I'm going to grab my Monopoly and texture, so the norm here, click on that. And then we're going to save that. And then I am going to click this little plus again to make a second entry. Copy my first entry, paste it there. And then earlier when we had that shader parameter, that appearance item object variation, we changed the name hash to just a random number. I am going to copy that, and I'm going to paste it in this variation asset name hash. So we got that. I'm going to expand the materials just to be sure. So everything looks copied over, which is cool. And then I'm going to right click my entry 0, copy it, and then in my other mesh variation, I'm going to add entry, paste it, and I'm going to copy entry 1 from the first guy, put it here in the second guy, and I'm going to save, and I think we are maybe. Okay, so last step is we're going to go back to the base armor, the one that we're replacing, and we are going to click on, I never remember what asset it is, so I just go click on the mesh, and if I don't see what I need, I just click on things that reference it until I find what I need. And what I am looking for is this part blueprint here. So they always start with part app, and so I'm going to open that, and under object, and then part behavior data, appearance item data, I'm going to delete 2 of those entries, and in my folder, I'm going to take the simple appearance item data and then click this. And now when I put on this outfit, it should show me the mesh that I've got right here with the textures. So I'm going to launch the game. Alright. Heck yeah. So this is the ideal female body. Oh, I don't know why it crashed. It's probably because I did something wrong. Oh, that's unfortunate. Okay, so I forget this literally every single time. Everything that I have shown you previously has been correct. The one thing that I always forget is that for some reason, Frosty Editor on my system hates it if you duplicate textures and then just leave them. So, for example, with these ones that I have named Balara, if I assigned those to something in the Meshware DB, Frosty would probably freak out and crash for no reason, which is super cool. But I uploaded the correct textures here, and we're about to have a good time. And there we go. The game is now not crashing, which is one of my favorite things. I love when it doesn't crash. And we're just gonna wander a little bit. We're not crashing, we're having a good time. It was literally just the textures. So, yeah. Now what I'm gonna do in Frosty is, oh geez. I am going to go and literally reduplicate all of the stuff that I did for the mesh. So skin mesh asset, cloth asset, actually no, not the cloth asset. All of these guys, so these 4 files, the blueprint, the object variation, the simple appearance item, and the mesh. And then I'm going to go through the 2 mesh variation databases and add those in the exact same way I did the first mesh. And then at the end we'll have a cute outfit, hopefully. Okay, so here's where it's really easy to start fucking shit up. I'm gonna go to add my simple appearance item, and I'm gonna click my little plus. I'm gonna grab Laura's thing, I'm gonna add it here, and we're gonna run into an issue here. So if I open up that simple appearance item, you can see the slot here refers to HM slot cape. And if I open up this other one that I added off screen, there is also HM slot cape. And you can't wear two capes because of reasons. So what I'm going to do is in my references, while I have that simple appearance item data selected, I'm going to look over here to where it says HM slot cape, and I'm going to right click find in Data Explorer, and it's going to take me to the full list of them. So I'm going to make this item that I just added, the parts from Valara, they're going to be body jewelry. You can pretty much put whatever you want here. So it could be a cape, it could be body hair, literally whatever you want, as long as you don't have two conflicting guys. So if you don't do that, then you'll have two capes in here, and the game will say absolutely the hell not, and will only show one of them. The other thing that is easy to mess up is forgetting to put stuff in the bundles. So I'm going to close everything that I had open here. And I'm going to go to my bundle editor. And I'm going to go copy bundles from earlier. I'm going to click tick show only modified and look at my stuff. And I am now going to add all of the stuff that I just duplicated. If you forget to add these to your bundles, but you do everything else right, then they just won't show up. It'll act like a swap mod, like a description edit mod. So, and I'm going to double check here. I've got 3 of these, 3 of these, 3 of these, 3 of these, and there should be 9 of these. So yeah, it looks like we're good here. All of my files are added to this bundle. So I'll click over here and add these guys. Cool, and then I'm going to open my mesh variation databases. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click the little plus sign to add 2 entries, and then I'm going to copy my entry 0, and I'm going to paste it here, and then I'm going to go find my Valara mesh, highlight it here, put it here, and then put it here. And the name here didn't update, but if you look at the path here, it did update to the correct mesh, so that's how you can tell there. Open up the material variation, and then we've got the norm, the BCLR, and the AMMS. So it all looks good, and then open up my shader parameter, copy whatever random number I put in there. Oh, I always do this incorrectly. I do it in the wrong order. I'll copy entry 4, paste it into entry 5, then copy this, and then paste it over the variation asset name, copy entry 4, and then paste it over entry 4 in the other guy, copy entry 5, paste it over here, and then we're going to try and launch. Okay, so it's crashing on me, so it's time to troubleshoot. Close everything. Then I'm going to look at my bundles. So all of my Veilguard stuff, making sure that is added to the correct bundles. I did already make sure all of the modest brooch items were behaving properly. So that's one benefit of doing everything modularly like this. It is kind of annoying to try and remember to put all the stuff that you duplicate into the bundles every time, but it really helps you narrow down where you fucked up, because it's real easy to fuck up. So everything looks like it is in the right bundles. So then I double check the textures. I did update all of those, so that's cool. Got the mesh here. The mesh looks okay. It's got shadows. It's not all weird in the viewer here. The simple item. The blueprint, I assigned the blueprint. Variation is assigned the shader parameter, so that's correct. We look at the blueprint. Object. Mesh is set to the correct one. The cloth is set to the cloth asset. Just let me open up the modest one real fast. Cloth asset, cloth wrapping asset. Okay. So I am going to take, looks like I missed fixing this cloth wrapping asset right here. And so it's trying to reference something for the physics that doesn't exist in the bundles. The game doesn't have it preloaded, so it doesn't know how anything works. So let's try that real fast. Alright, are you gonna crash on me again? Are you gonna do it? Are you gonna do it? Hey, there we go. So doing everything really modularly is extremely beneficial, extremely helpful, makes it way easier to troubleshoot. So the last thing we need to do is go and find some skin. So that is going to be exciting. Let's see here. So I used a feminine body, so I am going to be using the Nude 02. So you can find all of the underwear bodies here in, that was incorrect, factions, generic accessories, underwear, and then models. And there are quite a few of these. So I'm going to scroll down to the mesh for a Uni HF Nude 02. And you open it and it looks bright red. You've got the right one. Don't really know why it shows up like this in Frosty Editor, but this is the correct one that you want to be using. And basically we are just going to duplicate this. If you notice, it does not say cloth in the name. Skin. I should follow my own naming convention. make sure that we get that in the right folder. Nothing bad will happen if you don't put everything in the same folder. I just find it harder to find stuff if it's not all right there. And this one is really important that you say no to the duplicated asset. For some reason, if this body ends up in these bundles that already exist in here, it just causes some weird issues. So it's just say no. And then we're going to go back to this guy. And then we are going to, I always go from the references once I know I have the mesh, because I don't trust myself to type in anything or to read. So I find it to be much safer to like right click, find in Data Explorer, and this shows us the object blueprint, but it's not a cloth object blueprint. So we can't actually duplicate it. Frosty will give you an error. So instead, I'm going to go and find the simple appearance item data, and I'm going to open that so I can get back to it, and then open the appearance item object variation. And then I'm going to duplicate each of those. I know earlier I said you can't duplicate non-cloth meshes, and I lied to you a little bit, because that is what we're doing right now, but we are going to be a little bit sneaky about it. So then I'm going to duplicate the shader parameter variation. Okay, so we are going to be very sneaky about this. We are going to find a cloth mesh, and we're going to duplicate just the object blueprint for that guy. So I am going to go back to my little bookmark, my favorite guy here. And this is the cloth object blueprint, so I'm going to duplicate it. Use something that has the femme variation in the name if you are using something sculpted to a feminine body. And so now I'm going to sort stuff by name. And I'm going to go to the simple appearance guy, and I'm going to put the, nope, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to put the cloth object blueprint in here where it says blueprint. And then under variation, I am going to do the shader parameter. So we are basically lying to the game and saying that the skin is made of cloth. And then we're just going to go into the cloth blueprint and assign the mesh. And then we're going to take my cloth asset, put it right here, and then my cloth wrapping asset, and I'm not going to forget it this time, probably. And we'll put that right there. Did I turn cloth off? It did. cool. If you ever hear anybody like talk about the cloth workaround, this is what they're referencing, is importing into a cloth mesh and then doing all this stuff in the blueprint in order to get that to work. Nope, not that one. Where's my guy? What am I thinking of? The mesh, that's what I'm thinking of. So I am going to import my skin here. There are numerous ways to mess with the skin, but that is outside the scope of this. I'm also kind of getting tired of talking. So as you can see, she's a little fucked up, but it's fine. Like, everything's fine. So I'm going to open this shader parameter, and then I'm just going to change the digits. Like, let's make it like 6 or something. Save that, and then I'm going to close these guys. And I'm going to open my mesh variation databases. And then I'm going to search for the skin again. And I'm going to look at the mesh, and then in the references, I'm going to expand this a little bit and look for, let's do that, whichever mesh variation database is Rooks. So obviously not anything that says Tosh. I am literally just going to go here to this, or no, sorry. Wow, reading is hard. I'm going to go to the gameplay equipment casual part appearance here, and I'm going to double click that, and I'm going to open the entries, and the first guy that I see here is that new mesh. So I'm going to copy entry 0, and in my first guy, I am going to click the little plus, and I'm going to add a guy, and then I'm going to go back to the folder with all of my stuff in it, and we're just going to do the mesh right here, and we're going to expand this, and you can see there's actually 2 materials here this time. So when we're assigning the material, we're still going to have the mesh highlighted down here, and we're going to click on it, and you can see this first one was the uni HF nude 02, and so we're just going to click that, and then here, this one also says uni HF nude 02. So now if you say body, so I'm going to open up this first one, and I'm going to open the texture parameters, and you can see that this first one has all of these, words. It has all of these textures in here, and then if we open up material 1 and we look at the textures, this has the actual skin textures in it. So because this one has skin textures, we know that we're going to select body. And up here, since it's got, these are the underwear textures, we're going to select the UNI, the uni. We don't actually have to change any of these textures, which is cool. because you cannot see the underwear there. So I'm going to paste that into entry 7. I'm going to grab my copied value here, which I think I changed. I don't remember if I did or not. And then copy entry 6. Paste it here. Copy entry 7. Paste it here. Save that. And then we're going to go to the bundles, and we're going to remember to add it to the bundles. Because that is important, and I forget about it very often. Add those to the first bundle, and then the second bundle. I just realized I did not reload after I duplicated all those files, so we'll see how this goes. So what I'm going to do now is kind of the final step, which is doing the LOD fix. So I'm going to reload this project. So I have another video about the level of detail fix, but basically, if you don't do this fix, sometimes your skin like explodes, and so do your clothes, and then the mesh just, it's not a good look. So I am going to highlight one of my meshes down here, and over on the references, there's this file called MG character hero body. And so I double click to open that, and I am going to click my find open asset, and I'm going to right click, duplicate this, and then I'm just going to say I really hope that is the name I end up going with. Otherwise, this entire video will be extremely embarrassing. So then I am just going to put that in my folder, and I'm going to say, yes, add this to the bundle to the original asset. Then what we are going to do is in the level of detail distance here, we're just going to put like a 0 after all these numbers. We're going to leave shadow distance and full screen area alone. I still have the original one open. Okay, that's not ideal. So I'm going to click the find open asset, and I'm going to right click here and revert, and it's going to undo that change. Nothing bad ever happens. So I'm going to go to the right file this time, the duplicated one, and I'm going to add those zeros to everything. And basically we're telling the game to load the highest level of detail all the time. The default is that if you're within 3 units, it'll be level of detail 1, 5 units, level of detail 2. And for some reason, all of the level of details 2 through 6 on some meshes just breaks out. Don't really know why. This is a good workaround. And then over here, you are going to copy the name of this, your duplicated file, and then just paste it here in that runtime shortening. Save that. And then we're going to go to all of our meshes. I'm just going to open all of those. And then I'm going to click on that LOD group. Make sure it's highlighted down here. And then on my mesh on this right side where it says LOD group, I click and add that. add that, and that. And as we've been going through this, I realized I forgot to do something. I think. Everything starts to get a little fuzzy when you've been doing this for a little more than an hour. I forgot to tell the game that the skin is part of the outfit. Which I feel like is pretty important. So I'm going to find my skin, simple appearance item data, add it here. This one is body. So a quick way to check to make sure you don't have any conflicting slots is if you look at all of your simple appearance items, if you click on the first one and then you see over here, the Veilguard items are body jewelry, and then the skin is body. The modest brooch items are cape, and the remaining Monopoly ones are body hair. So we're going to save, and we're going to launch and cross your fingers. We got skin! Oh. Huh. I don't like that. I really don't like that. I'm gonna fix that in Blender, but in terms of everything that we've been doing to get this into the game, it worked. So next steps would be run around a bunch, see if there's clipping, do your best. Oh girl, what those feet do.